What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. Messed up and out of touch, let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed, and I can't go to bed. I got to do gummies again after the show. I had to make oil today, so I made the oil earlier and just hadn't gotten around to making the gummies. Doesn't take long, so anyway, don't know of anything in particular to bring up. Crazy shooting in Texas. Apparently, a family, well, part of the family hadn't even been in the U.S. very long. They're from Honduras. And the guy that did this was titled a Mexican national, I believe is how it was termed. And anyway, I guess the neighbors had complained because he was out at night shooting his gun in his yard. They had a child that was trying to sleep. And so they essentially, I guess, asked him if he could stop. I guess that's what transpired. I don't know. Maybe they called law enforcement. I don't know. But dude flipped out and shot him. I mean, including an 8-year-old kid. And it's just insane. So that's been on my mind a bit. I say on my mind. Things like that bother me. They really do. They really, really do. That's craziness. But other than that, I kind of had a little bit of a laugh today. So way back, and I mean way back, I was in high school. So I'll be 51 next month, this coming month. So you can do the math there. And so I went to a party when I took my supposed best friend. I took to a party, and I never was a drinker. Still am not to this day. And this is a drinking community. I mean, that's kind of a lot of what the kids, or at least used to do here. And I was never interested in that. And now, don't get me wrong, I smoke weed all day long, but I didn't want anything to do with alcohol. And so anyway, went to this party, took my supposed best friend to the party, and I worked that day, and I was tired, and I really wasn't up, you know. I'm going to be honest, I just wanted to catch a buzz and lay down, go to sleep. So that's essentially what I did in my car as I'm sitting out in front of this house. So then, I don't know what time it was anymore. It's been so long ago, but I remember waking up to people talking, and one of them was talking about messing with me. And about that time, I opened up my eyes, in which I got a face full of mace. And they, I'm pretty sure, used that whole damn can of mace on me. I didn't do nothing. I was out there sleeping. And so anyway, there was a point in time in which one of the individuals that was involved had came, and you got to remember, I wasn't drinking. I remember this. And he got in the car, and I didn't realize what he was doing. And he said, I don't know, he's talking something like he was just going to put his head back for a minute or whatever. I didn't realize what he was doing. He was grabbing my tape case and getting the tape case out of my car. Now, I had a double-decker tape case, 120 tapes on each side. And most all of those cassette tapes came from my older brother. They meant a lot to me. Many of those cassette tapes were actually bootleg tapes from places like the Philippines and Okinawa. And so they had, in my heart, even more of a value for that, because they weren't, you couldn't go get that particular tape here in the U.S. because, you know, and sure, it's bootleg, but that's, again, because you couldn't get something like that here. Not like that. I mean, these were good bootlegs. They look good. They didn't have any of the inside cover stuff. There was none of the inside cover stuff, but they had a really good looking printed outside cover for the cassette tape. And as well as the cassette tape, it didn't say Maxwell or not on it, or Maxell, whatever the hell company it was. It actually looked like the real deal. So now a lot of times maybe the print would be a little bit different or whatever, but it was a printed cassette tape. Well, anyway, pretty cool stuff. And that's actually what introduced me to the world of rock, the world of heavy metal. And all of that, when my brother gave me that tape case, meant a whole lot to me, and I had it for several years. And I'll be damned if that asshole didn't steal it. And it was funny because I was in a conversation just with somebody else I went to high school with, and that came up, and I had brought it up. And I forget what the initial conversation was about, but I had brought up that incident, and I gave the initials of the person. I didn't directly call them out, but close enough. And so it's funny. I mean, it wasn't very long after that. Yep, I'm down one Facebook quote unquote friend, and sure enough, it was the cat that stole the cassettes. And it's like, yeah, you could have been a man. You could have been a decent human being. You could have somebody with some fucking balls, and you could say, hey, dude, that was bullshit. I'm sorry. But they never grew up, and that's why I drifted apart from those that I hung out with high school, because they never grew up. And I just didn't want no part of that bullshit. So anyway, I thought that was just kind of funny, though. It's like, we're in our 50s now. You're not grown up enough just to say, hey, dude, that was bullshit of me. I'm sorry. Wow. But I'll damn well bet he thinks he's better than I am. Anyway, so I thought that was humorous. Aside from that, I don't know. Not a lot of excitement. Well, actually, there is a lot of excitement, but I'll comment more on that another time. But good stuff. There's actually a bunch of good stuff for me. But other than that, can't think anything off the top of my head. Trying to think back through news and stuff over the weekend. Now, there was, and we're actually going to be covering that before the bank stuff. Oh, and that reminds me. I wouldn't say anything quite yet about there not being any dongs, because who knows? In the article I've got here to cover, maybe Wang Fing or something decided to pipe in. So don't count your chickens before they hatch, because we might get all sidetracked by Wang Fing. At least we don't have Boris Pistorius in the news today that I know of. Let's see. I do have, and I'm going to go ahead and just get hopping through it. Do have some articles up. Looks like I got 6 of them that I decided to bring up. Not going to start out with the title of the show. I'm going to start out with this stuff because, this stuff right now is a little more important. So, I don't know who did what to who first, or what, or why, or how. And I could have dug into that, but quite frankly, I didn't give enough of a damn. So, I don't know which one of these things happened first. I don't know if Ukraine attacked Russia first, and I'm assuming that that's kind of what happened, is that Ukraine had attacked Russia, and then Russia came along and just, let it loose. So anyway, first one here, Ukrainian command center destroyed, says Moscow. Says the Russian Defense Ministry claimed on Saturday that it has destroyed a major Ukrainian command center. Cruise missiles launched from the sea were used to target the facility, the ministry's spokesman, Lieutenant General Igor Konishnikov, announced during a media briefing. On the evening of April 28th of this year, Russia's armed forces delivered a group strike with sea-based long-range precision weapons at the location of the commanding officers of Ukraine's joint troops grouping Kherson, Konishnikov stated. Adding that the goal of the strike had been achieved, the official did not provide any estimates on potential Ukrainian casualties. The strike comes as both sides in the ongoing conflict, which has been raging since February, have seemingly ramped up long-range attacks against each other. Earlier this week, Russia launched a cruise missile salvo targeting groupings of Ukrainian military reserves. The strike successfully prevented their redeployment towards the front line, according to the Russian military. As a result of the attack, a multi-story residential building was damaged in the Ukrainian city of Uman, located at the central Cherkasy region, possibly. It was not immediately clear what exactly struck the building, given the many instances of Ukrainian air defense projectiles having hit civilian sites in the country and even beyond. Nevertheless, Kiev squarely blamed Russia for the incident, which left more than 20 civilians dead, according to local officials. Ukrainian forces, meanwhile, appear to have intensified attacks on residential areas of the Russian city of Donetsk, which has seen almost daily shelling throughout the conflict. On Friday, the city and its vicinity were subjected to particularly intense shelling, which left at least 9 civilians dead and over a dozen injured. The attacks destroyed multiple residential homes and damaged a local hospital. Kiev's forces also landed a direct hit on a passenger bus, killing all of its occupants. The uptick in strikes comes ahead of an expected Ukrainian counteroffensive long advertised by the country's top officials. On Friday, President Vladimir Zelensky said he expected the offensive to be successful, dismissing Western concerns over Ukraine's capabilities that have appeared in several media outlets in recent weeks. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is going on. Is very possibly they are making their big spring push initiative, whatever we want to call it. Barn dance. I mean, it's Ukraine. What do we call those? Probably a barn dance would be the most accurate. But anyway. What? Somebody barn dancing out there? So anyway, and I think what had happened in return is Russia was replying to their offensive, and I'm assuming this information is correct, and that I do remember reading it in the news about them striking the military. So I'm trying to think the actual troops. I'm trying to think of how they worded it. Their military reserves. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to go very well for Ukraine. And I've been saying that the entire time. Russia is not fighting at its potential. They aren't even tapping into their potential, because that would look really, really unfair to the rest of the planet. I mean, come on now. That's the part that I don't get when people want to debate how well Ukraine is defending itself. And it's like, Russia's like got the boxing gloves on. I mean, it's crazy. They got the bumpers on the rail, or on the gutters for the bowling alley. You know what I mean? Let's see. Because you have to have a measured offense. If you're going to go on the offensive, right, and you're going to beat up on the little kid, right, if you're going to go and beat up on the little kid, you have to at least beat up on them with a measured response, or otherwise you look even worse. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you look bad enough beating up on any little kid, but I think you understand what I'm saying with that. You know, if a little kid just keeps bugging you, okay, it's one thing to kind of shove them away a little bit, not hard, not hurt them or anything else. It's another thing to hop on top of them and start pummeling them into the ground, right? That's totally two different responses there. Russia can't pummel Ukraine because it's a really, really bad look. And so, and that's the part that I don't get, that it seems it goes beyond so many. It really, truly does, across all the political variations out there, right? I figure, we're up to 70-something genders. We got to be up to about 90-something political groups by now. Just crazy. Okay. Next on the chopping block, Ukrainian ammunition train destroyed, says Russian MOD. Yeah, they were pissed. They're like, nah, bro. Russian forces have destroyed a Ukrainian train carrying up to 200 tons of ammunition. They could have brought it here, right? Moscow Defense Ministry claimed on Sunday the strike reportedly occurred in Russia's Donetsk People's Republic near the city of Kramatorsk, which remains under Ukrainian control. The Russian military has also been actively targeting Ukrainian artillery units, the ministry spokesman, Lieutenant General Igor Konishnikov, announced during a media briefing. Over the past 24 hours, tactical and army aviation, military, and artillery units of the Russian armed forces hit 82 Ukrainian artillery units at their firing positions, manpower, and equipment in 115 areas, Konishnikov stated. Kind of slapped him around a little bit, it sounds like. The attack on the train appears to be the largest gain of the day, but earlier Russian forces also claimed a strike on the command post of Ukraine's 81st Airborne Brigade near the village of Belgorovka in Lugansk People's Republic, and I think I got that wrong. Over the past few days, both Russian and Ukrainian forces have been ramping up long-range strikes against each other. And it just goes back into the history, what we've already heard. So this is just further blowing shit up when it comes to their attack. And I don't know which one happened first. I have a feeling that maybe this happened first. Death toll from Ukrainian strike on Russian village rises. Here it says the number of fatalities caused by a Ukrainian strike on a settlement in Russia's Bryansk region has grown to 4, local governor Alexander Bogomaz said on Sunday. Emergency workers clearing the rubble at the site following the overnight attack on the village of Suzimka, I guess it's Suzimka, something like that, have found and recovered the remains of 2 more civilians, Bogomaz wrote on Telegram. Another 2 were wounded as a result of the actions by Ukrainian nationalists, and they have been hospitalized, he added. 1 house was completely destroyed in the attack, and 2 others were damaged, according to the governor. A state of emergency has been declared around Suzimka, which is located about 10 kilometers from Russia's border with Ukraine, due to the strike, Bogomaz said, adding that rescuers were continuing to work at the site. So, then it just goes on. Like I say, I don't think this war is very likely to go into the winter. I think they will have this wrapped up by the end of summer or end of fall at the latest. I do not see Ukraine being able to stay in the fight any longer than that. The only asterisk to that would be direct NATO involvement. Now, if NATO does get directly involved, then no holds barred. I mean, anything could happen. We could be in a decade-long war. We have no idea. Or it could be a very short, but for a reason, very short war, too. So, however, I don't know that it's going to play out like that. I am really, really starting to sense the pulling back from Ukraine. And even the United States seems to be pulling away a little bit. So we'll see what continues to happen. What I've been watching, what I've been seeing unfold, though, definitely concern in the Asia Pacific. So that's probably where we need to be watching closely. Don't know. There's a lot of unstable stuff going on right now. Hang on, drink. Let's see. What was my next one here? Yeah, leading non-Western states resisting pressure over Russia, says Washington Post. This goes into what I was saying. India, Brazil, South Africa, and Pakistan, and numerous other emerging economies have rebuffed American attempts to enlist them in the fight against Russia amid the conflict in Ukraine, the Washington Post has reported, citing leaked Pentagon files. And that's something that just blows my mind. So this cat that was responsible, right, supposedly responsible for all of these Pentagon leaks and all that, which all kind of sounds like a funny story to begin with, the leaks are still coming out. The dude's behind bars. They have him in custody. The leaks are still coming out. I mean, tons of them. Pretty crazy. So maybe there's a backlog of leaks. And it begs the question, if there's such a backlog of leaks, this just seems awfully organized. You know what I mean? Just seems a bit organized. Anyway, India, Brazil, South Africa, and Pakistan and numerous other countries, blah, 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 blah. Okay. According to classified U.S. intelligence documents, which investigators believe were released online, here we go, by U.S. Air National Guard serviceman Jack Teixeira, India has no intention of taking sides in the standoff over Ukraine, the paper reported on Sunday. One of the documents seen by the Post suggests that during a meeting in February, Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Kumar Doval told the Secretary of the Russian Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev, that New Delhi was resisting pressure to support a Western-backed UN resolution on Ukraine. India would not deviate from the principled position it had taken in the past, Doval reported, assured the Russian official. Another leaked file suggested that Brazil was more interested in playing a mediation role in the conflict than supporting Washington and its allies. Russia favors the idea of a world peace bloc to resolve the crisis over Ukraine, put forward by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva during his visit to China earlier this month. Moscow believes it would counteract the West's aggressor-victim narrative about Kiev, according to the document. In late February, Brazil welcomed 2 warships from America's arch-foe Iran, with one of the files suggesting that Lula likely allowed the port call to bolster his reputation as a global mediator and burnish Brazil's image as a neutral power. The leaks also revealed that when U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited South Africa last year and raised the Ukraine issue, he was told by local officials that Pretoria would not be bullied into making decisions that go against its interests, the Washington Post wrote. So, I mean, yeah, it just seems really, really organized and well-timed. So, we'll see. Again, hold anything to the fire when it comes to U.S. media and what they're reporting. If they're trying to push you in any direction, look the other direction. I'm not convinced whatsoever that this leak is really a leak or that it's accidental or anything else other than a planned release of information to fulfill some type of a goal. And we already know that they play well with the Hegelian dialectic, so it is what it is. All right. Copy. And a little nicotine. All right, let's see. Indian banker describes dollar as financial terrorist. I had to change the title of the show a little to get it to fit. Pardon me. The U.S. dollar has too much power as a reserve currency, and the world desperately needs an alternative. Billionaire investor and CEO Kotak Mahindra Bank, Uday Kotak, said on Friday. Speaking to the Economic Times Awards for Corporate Excellence 2023, the banker described the dollar as the biggest financial terrorist in the world. As most global assets are held in dollars in so-called nostro accounts with U.S. banks, they are entirely dependent on decisions made by American bankers and authorities, he explained. Somebody in the U.S. can say you cannot withdraw this money from tomorrow morning and you are stuck. That is the power of reserve currency, Kotak added. Yeah, it is a hell of a name. Let's see. I'm glad they just say Kotak, though. That's very helpful. The world is therefore desperately Oh, I already read that one, I do believe. Oh, wait. No, maybe not. The world is therefore desperately looking for an alternative reserve currency, he continued, suggesting that India should seize the opportunity to make its own currency, the rupee, the reserve. It is our time for making a shot at it, which will take us probably 10 years, he stated. In order to achieve this goal, India must earn the trust of other global players by building strong financial institutions and a strong framework that is not dependent on the whims and fancies of anyone. Huh? You mean like a gold-backed dollar? No way. Kotak added that he does not see other strong contenders for the role. I don't think Europe can make their currency the reserve because its states are disunited. I don't think the UK or Japan have the heft to be able to be taking that position, though both the British pound and the yen are free currencies. China, I think, has a major issue of trust with many countries around the world, he said. In a tweet on Saturday, Kotak tried to further clarify his comments on the U.S. dollar, explaining that he was referring to the overabundance of power that a reserve currency holds. This status gives such currency the ability to control global transactions, leading to situations where other countries may become dependent on it. In a recent discussion on the U.S. dollar, I inadvertently used the words financial terrorist, which I would like to correct. What I meant was that a reserve currency has disproportionate power, whether it's a nostro account, 500 basis points rate increase, or emerging countries holding dollars for liquidity, he wrote. So, I mean, he's not wrong. He is not wrong. That's kind of the moment that I fear. Because if our dollar goes bunk, yikes, man. That's going to be insane. We're going to be talking like Venezuela here, where you're taking like a wheelbarrow of cash into the store to buy a loaf of bread. And I know it sounds probably pretty far-fetched, but you might want to kind of get used to the notion, because I do think that we are going to experience that at some point. And hopefully it won't be an extended period of time that we go through it. Hopefully. We'll see. I'm not of the mindset, like, let's say that the dollar goes bunk. I'm not of the mindset that is the big HHTF, where everybody's just wiping each other out. And don't get me wrong, because in tense places, there's going to be tense things that happen. But it's not going to be the norm everywhere. Sure, you're going to have more acting up. You're going to have more issues. You're probably going to have a lot more crime. However, I don't think it's going to be the Wild West that everybody tries to sell you on. I have not seen anywhere an example of that in history. I'm not just talking our history. I'm talking about history. I have not seen an example of that to where that's how things went down. Just don't see it. I do not see it. And if anybody knows of a time, let me know. But what happens in many cases, many countries, including our own, there's a lot of people that are close to one another, and I mean physically close. I'm not talking about relationship kind of close. I'm talking about physically close to one another. You kind of start paying more attention to them and maybe asking if they're doing all right, see if they need help with anything, maybe ask them for help with something if you need something. There's a whole lot of that stuff that goes on. A whole lot of that stuff. I don't get where this notion is that you have an SHTF happen, and next thing you know, every damn neighbor around you is going to be trying to blow your head off. I don't get it. I just don't get where that, and I call it a fantasy because that's what it is. In a sick, disgusting, twisted way, it's a fantasy. And it's propagated by our damn media, to be honest. It's just part of our society. I mean, look, there's so much violence on TV. How do you expect there not to be nonstop violence in the world? When they're seeing that, people are going to emulate what they see. Trash in, trash out. That's the hardest lesson to teach, though, because it involves self-accountability. Self-discipline. Anywho, waiting for the next episode of Skinwalker Ranch to come out. Hey, there ain't much I watched. That one, okay. I'll let it entertain me a bit. I just hate the reality TV format. Right? Where they're doing shit, and then just that quick, you're in a room with some dude, and he's telling you about how he feels about everything. And then you're back outside doing shit again. A few minutes later, you got somebody else. And they're just, it's just like, and this is where the mindset of the American public went. If you think about it, that's the way people are. People feel like they are entitled to give their opinion on absolutely everything. Not just that they're entitled to give it, in which they are actually entitled to give their opinion. However, they're not entitled to have a platform to do it. It doesn't mean that other people have to give them the microphone. It doesn't work that way. But anyway. You lost your Mick on your keypad? Did you have Mick Jagger on your keypad or something? Because that would be funny. Poke him in the eye for the 7. Alright, let's see. Epstein papers expose his prominent contacts, says media. How come we can't get anywhere on this? I mean, you would think that an international sex trafficking ring, you would think that there'd be some high up individuals that would be interested in making sure that these crimes are dealt with. But no. Maybe it has something to do with the people involved. Maybe. Future CIA Director William Burns, banker Ariane de Rothschild, and an ex-aide to U.S. President Barack Obama are among the noteworthy people who had meetings with financier Jeffrey Epstein after he was publicly registered as a child sex offender, according to a newly unearthed trove of documents from the late financier. Now, the future CIA director, William Burns. Don't you love how these people hang out with one another? The previously unpublicized documents, including thousands of pages of emails and schedules from 2013 to 2017, revealed that Epstein booked multiple meetings with such prominent figures as U.S. spy chief William Burns and with Catherine Rumler, I don't know that name, a former White House counsel who later became a top lawyer at Goldman Sachs Group. Imagine that. All of the encounters were arranged after Epstein served jail time in 2008 for procuring a teenage girl for prostitution in Florida. It was like a Monday. Burns, then Deputy Secretary of State in Obama's administration, first met with Epstein in 2014 in Washington and later visited his townhouse in Manhattan twice, according to the documents. CIA spokeswoman Tammy Cooperman Thorpe told the WSJ that Burns did not know anything about the notorious financier other than that he was introduced as an expert in the financial services sector and offered general advice on transition to the private sector. Rumler had a professional relationship with Epstein, who introduced her to Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and other potential legal clients, a Goldman Sachs spokesman told the newspaper. "I regret ever knowing Jeffrey Epstein," Rumler said. The Wall Street Journal said the document suggested that Epstein knew his guests well. For instance, he asked an assistant to ensure that avocado sushi rolls were served when he met with Rumler. He and his staff also discussed whether Rumler would be uncomfortable with the presence of young women at his townhouse. There's nothing odd about that. One visitor, anthropologist Helen Fisher, said that after a 2016 lunch with Epstein at the townhouse, he invited her to speak with his staff, and 6 attractive young women filed into the room. Rumler, who had dozens of meetings with Epstein over the years, was introduced by the convicted pedophile to de Rothschild, the documents show. After the introduction, the de Rothschild family Swiss private bank hired Rumler's law firm to assist with U.S. regulatory issues. In 2013, Epstein asked de Rothschild to help find him a new assistant, female, multilingual, organized. She agreed to ask around. He had more than a dozen meetings with de Rothschild and sought her help with luxury furnishings and business deals. After Epstein was arrested in 2019 for alleged sex trafficking of underage girls, the bank, Edmund de Rothschild's group, claimed that the de Rothschild never met the financier and had no business ties to him. The bank told the Wall Street Journal that its earlier statement was incorrect and that de Rothschild met with Epstein as part of her normal duties, but she had no knowledge of legal proceedings against him or concerns about his conduct. Right. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust any of them. Not even this whatever her name was. I don't trust her. I don't trust any of them. And I just don't understand why we just can't seem to get anywhere with this. That's just the most amazing thing. And I guess the part that's frustrating about it is here you've got 350 million plus people that won't do a damn thing about it. Entirely screwed up. Entirely screwed up. What were we going to do about it? Send them flowers. Hey, everybody likes flowers, right? Everybody likes flowers. Send them flowers. All right, got some headlines to go over, coming from Friday's headlines on up till today, as usual. Fun times. I go get to be Betty Crocker. All right, starting with Friday's headlines. China cyber hacker threat unparalleled, says FBI. Drone piloting should be taught in schools, says Putin. U.S. military helicopters crash in Alaska. Again, this is Friday's headlines I put out. Russia-India trade surges. Danish beer giant to divest from Russia. Yeah, well. InBev is going to need all the help they can get. Pentagon probes how leaker passed security clearance. Biden's approval rating hits record low, says Gallup. I mean, dude, you don't just, it's not as easy as carrying a USB drive into the facility. Pardon me. It is not even remotely that easy. Insane. U.S. blackmails nations into confronting Moscow and Beijing, says Shogu. Serbian president denies ill health reports. Lightning strikes disrupt SpaceX launch plans. France to work with Russia on nuclear project, says Le Monde. Russian boss of Telegram vows to fight Brazilian ban, something like that. U.S. helps to kill Russians, says Moscow. Morgan Stanley plans sale of valuable Russian assets, says Vedomosti. Let's see. Russian social media star admits to $11 million tax fraud. Couldn't imagine what it would be like to have to owe $11 million in taxes. Hell. I mean, damn, if you got that money, that kind of money that you can get backlogged, $11 million in taxes, holy hell, man. BBC boss steps down amid incriminating report. Was he hanging out with a tax fraud chick or something? Ukrainian troops generally ready for counteroffensive, says minister. IMF explains why Western sanctions on Russia have underperformed. Well, because they suck. Ukraine looking to grab more of Russia's oil revenues, says Kommersant. Western arms may not be long enough. No, I'm kidding. Western arms may not be enough, Ukrainian troops tell NYT. It's close to the same thing. Top crypto exchange eases restrictions on Russians, says media. Let's see. China accuses U.S. of destabilizing Korean peninsula. Well, yeah. At least 7 dead in Ukrainian shelling of Donetsk. Fewer heterosexual teens than ever, says a report. Well, not when you throw 72 flavors at them. Russia planning major crackdown on gray economy, says RBK. Now, I read this headline and I thought, do we know any other countries that happen to crack down on gray economy? It seems like there's a country that's 3 letters, U.S. and an A. It stands for asshole. And anyway, it seems like not long ago, it seems like something about PayPal and Cash Apps and Venmo and imagine that. Lockstep with one another, too. Isn't that just amazing? I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I'm sure. Russian concerns about Ukraine grain deal not groundless, says Turkey. German intelligence labels AFD's youth wing extremist. UK allegedly censored report on British neo-Nazis fighting in Ukraine. Imagine that. U.S. TV host Springer apologized for ruining culture before his death. I read that headline because I made a comment when he passed. I'm not a fan of Jerry Springer. I think he's a disgusting man. I think the world is better off. That's how I feel. I'm unapologetic about it. Why? because he did really make a black mark in our society. He really did. There's no two ways about it. Look, just because you can get people to do stupid shit doesn't mean you should. You can always find stupid people to do stupid shit. That's not a hard task at all. And to put them on TV in front of millions of people and make that even remotely seem like a societal norm, that shouldn't even been allowed. And I know, First Amendment, whatever. The First Amendment does not mean that a private television station has to air your bullshit. Doesn't cover that, homie. Let's see. U.S. envoy questions Russian use of term Anglo-Saxons. Ex-Google CEO considered AI to win elections for Democrats, says media. Hell, they probably had AI voting in the last. I didn't say that because I did not say that. Let's see. Iranian broadcast shows seizure of oil tanker. A Ukrainian minister calls to crack down on Telegram. Another Ukraine region targets Christians. Kiev sends media correct terminology instructions. Well, good job. You know, no more Chinglish. We know how to launch a missile. Oh. U.S. deploys guided bombs in warning to Iran, says media. Trump unveils fresh nickname for Biden. Potato Joe? Because that works well. Russia won't play by the rules invented by anyone, says Putin. Damn Skippy. I feel you, bro. ABC News censors presidential candidates' vaccine comments. Ukraine working with FBI to censor social media, says an official. U.S. braces for nuclear strike in Ukraine, says the media. Yeah. So I really love how they play this. Like right here in the subheadline, a team was sent to place sensors that could attribute blame to Moscow in the event of a potential atomic incident, the New York Times reports. Do you really got to place sensors to do that? The answer is no, you don't. Not even remotely. Because, see, this is how this works. Let's say Russia, the U.S., or anybody decides to go boom, boom over there. You can get samples of all the irradiated stuff, and from those samples, you can actually do some type of forensic type of crap on it and know exactly where that material came from. So why are we doing all this again? Oh, for setup. Got it. Let's see. U.S. push to disclose number of troops in Ukraine. Civilians injured in Israeli strikes, says Syria. FBI must probe modern-day slavery, says lawmaker. Suspected drone hits oil terminal in Sevastopol, says governor. And we are to yesterday's news. Yay! Copy. Oh, nicotine. Because it's in the contract. Do you know this, man? Alright. Kim's sister, because Kim's not a girl's name, Kim's sister calls Biden old man with no future. Hey, can we agree with Little Rocket Man Kim's sister for a change? Old man with no future. I would agree with her there. But, tell your brother to get a man's name. U.S. lawmakers fear AI. Ow? Really? Seriously? U.S. lawmakers fear AI-instigated nuclear attacks. That's going to be the reason, huh? Deadly crashes ground U.S. Army flights. EU country urges check of Ukrainian food exports for market violations. Russian central bank outlines major economic risks. Secret $1.6 billion submarine plans found in pub toilet, says media. Really? Wow. Was Hunter Biden there? Polish police raid Russian schools, says RIA. A U.S. scrambling to rescue failing bank, says Reuters. EU reaches deal on Ukrainian food imports. West's efforts to isolate Russia have failed, says Lavrov. Sugar prices pop to 11-year high. Speaking of that, hang on. I saw that the other day, and then I forgot to take a look-see. Because, see, like even sugar, we get the big bags. We don't get little pounds or 4 pounds or whatever. We get the big-ass 25-pound bag. And $15.78, which a little bit up, maybe a few bucks, but it's absolutely not on a stupid level, I wouldn't say. Eggs went back up a few bucks again as well. So I did look at those today. We don't need any. I just, in fact, we got a full case of 60 eggs in there that we got a month ago. So we don't go through them super, super fast, but I like to have them on hand in case we do get a little bit eggy. So, anywho, EU mulls export curbs for countries trading with Russia, says Financial Times. Biden unlikely to last through second term, says GOP candidate. Moscow reacts to Russian school seizure in Poland. Kiev decries EU restrictions on Ukrainian imports. Zelensky expects successful counteroffensive. Sure you do. Cyprus offers EU alternative to Russian gas. Zelensky's top advisor issues demands to China. Poland had no right to seize Russian schools, says ambassador to RT. Let's see, and I covered that. We should be about till today's news coming up here. Erdogan rival plans Turkey EU bid. Italian weapons supplied to Ukraine not battle ready, says Financial Times. Active shooter incidents down, but casualties up, says FBI. Got a fearmonger one statistic or another. Twitter rolls out new monetization feature. Let's see. Latest U.S. mass shooting leaves 5 people dead. That's the one I was telling you about at the beginning of the show in Texas. A Pentagon leaker wanted to kill a fuck ton of people, says the U.S. That's what he apparently said. He was serious, because you use terminology like fuck ton. You know you're dealing with somebody there that, wow, you're dealing with somebody. Fuck ton. What was he like? Was he Asian? I mean, a fuck ton. Go fuck ton. Probably not. But we could imagine it. Countdown to Games of the Future launch. Does it have anything to do with fuck ton? I mean, could we go around when we're shooting the shit out of people and stuff in the game, and like just scream out "fuck ton" just out of the blue. I mean, it would be a nice little taunt prompt, a little button for the A button, right on the A button, you know, fuck ton, you know, it'd be cool. Maybe not. Giuliani divulges vote rigging secrets of New York City. You don't say. U.S. troops drill for Taiwan war, says media. So somebody who cheated at the election telling you about cheating at the election, but we can't talk about cheating with the election. Got it. Okay. U.S. troops drilled for Taiwan war, says media. Brazil unblocks Telegram. Ex-Russian president calls for complete dismantling of Kiev regime. Ukraine restricts use of Z and V on car plates because that'll teach them. Damn it. You know what? We need to get like A through E, because that's some racist shit right there. A through E. We need to get A through E banned from U.S. license plates, because that's some racist bullshit. F on, you're good. You're fine, right? Because, you know, of course, the fuck ton. You got to have an F in there. But, you know, otherwise you can't have the fuck ton. That would just ruin everything. Anyway, Biden greenlights deployment to Mexican border. You want to send me 2 killed in Ukrainian strike on Russian border region. U.S. helps some citizens flee Sudan. Good. Can you help me flee the U.S.? I mean, just saying. Zelensky explains why he carries a gun. To look tough, homie, because I think you're probably scared to shoot it. Bank of Russia. In fact, he probably carries around the gun that old boy was supposed to have on that film set. What's his name again? Alec Baldwin. Zelensky's probably carrying around the gun that Alec Baldwin was supposed to have. Bank of Russia raises economic forecast. U.S. regulators set deadline for failing bank bids, says media. Russian gold production soars. Fitch downgrades France's credit rating. I did all I could to prevent Ukraine conflict, Merkel says. Sure you did. Key nations resisting U.S. pressure regarding Russia, says Washington Post. Russia oil still powering EU, says Bloomberg. I did say it was on today's headlines, I think. I do need coffee, though. Z personally intervened in Saudi-Iran talks, says diplomat. Russian defenses will be a tough task for Ukrainians, says CNN. You think? Ukraine explains strike on oil terminal in Crimea. First Chinese world chess champion crowned. I don't know why I normally don't share anything related to like games, sports, stuff like that. Sometimes I slip and get one through though. Let's see, I covered that. Ancient Biden mocks age critics, you know, because he's such a young whippersnapper. Now is not the time for Ukraine to join NATO, says member states president. No kidding. Ex-Sudanese prime minister warns of nightmare civil war. Hungary issues NATO rebuke to Zelensky. Even one American in Iraq is too many, says Iran. Blinken lied to U.S. Senate about Hunter Biden, says lawmaker. Imagine that. But what will be done of it? Nothing. Brits urged to swear oath to their king for the first time. Zelensky's advisor lashes out at Merkel. ISIS caliph killed in Syria, says Erdogan. Iranian president goes to Syria to celebrate victory, says officials. And that is it. That covers the news. I am going to hurry up and get the hell out of here so I can get some gummies made and go to bed. Anyway, I hope you all have a good evening. Hope to see you tomorrow. God willing, we'll be here. And we'll do this fun stuff again. So thanks for coming. Hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.